The way that a person responds to an offense is a good indicator of that person's character. It's also a good indicator of the effect that the offense had on the person. If you were deeply hurt by an insult, you're going to respond like someone who was deeply hurt. You're going to lash out. But when you do that, it makes it abundantly clear to the person who attacked you in the first place that they succeeded in what they were trying to do. And so they will continue to do it to seek that response from you because their goal is to hurt you. And when they know that they can, they're not going to stop. No matter what you say to them when you lash out. Now, no matter how intimidating you may think you are, over the internet, all you can do is use your words. And generally, words are not intimidating by themselves. Even hostile words, even threats of violence. You're just talking. You're not actually doing anything. And insults are even weaker. Now, if a mere insult hurt you enough to lash out and insult back, then that really shows a great weakness of character, because it shows that you expect to be treated a way that you refuse to treat others. You think that you deserve some kind of justice for what was done to you, but nothing that bad was really done to you. Words were just spoken, and you can just ignore them. Now, I recently did a video about a user who lashed out in a childish manner against somebody for making an equally childish remark against him. His physical appearance was insulted, and so he lashed out, displaying his insecurity about his looks. Now, do you think people are going to stop insulting your looks when they seek to hurt you, knowing now how you react when your looks are insulted? No, now they know exactly what to do and what to say to you if they want to get a certain response. You're their toy now. I'm not saying that you deserve to be insulted. It's not right. But people don't do things with right and wrong in mind, usually. At least not when they're satisfying an emotional need or an emotional desire. Now, for most people, the intellect doesn't have very much input when making decisions to how to satisfy an emotional desire. And this leads to a lot of mistakes being made. Mistakes that the people end up regretting. Unless, of course, they don't learn any lessons, which is very possible. People end up getting hurt. They all lash out at each other. And before you know it, we got this huge fight that started because people refused to think. Emotions cloud judgment. And so, no good judgments can be made using the emotions. They can be an indicator that a judgment is needed, but the intellect is what should be used for making any decision in your life. And that includes your interactions with other people. An insult or a criticism only has the power to hurt when the listener agrees with it but doesn't want it to be true. You see, the person has to be using it against themselves to begin with, for you to be able to hurt them with it. And so, before you react to an insult or a criticism that hits too close to home by making you too upset, you have to look inside yourself and discover why you feel that way about what that person said. Because generally, strangers on the internet don't know anything about us. They won't be able to purposely, at least not initially, make statements that are overly personal. They can only make stabs in the dark. And they know that they've made a hit when you react with hostility. If you aren't the person you want to be, the way to change that is to understand and accept yourself for who you are. Only then can you actually gain any power over yourself. You won't get that by insulting people back who insult you. That doesn't solve the problem. It only relieves a temporary symptom of the injury. It's not easy to be that honest with yourself. It's even a little scary. Or it can be. But it can be done. You can take your emotions out of the equation when it comes to dealing with other people. And that is how you can take a major step toward resolving conflicts. When you refuse to react emotionally and throw your opponent off balance emotionally, the debate can be purely intellectual. And that's the only kind of debate that can really be resolved, because an argument that's just a fight can only be resolved when one person relents. And when the fight isn't physical, neither side is going to force the other to feel what they want them to feel. Everyone's going to just end up getting angrier and angrier until maybe it does spill over into a physical fight somehow. And that kind of fight, of course, can be resolved, of course, when one party is unable to physically fight anymore. So, unless you are willing to make an argument over the internet into a physical fight, there's no point in reacting because of your emotional impulses. Now, of course, you can have them. You can't help but have emotional impulses. But you can ignore them. You can override them and react based on what you know rather than what you feel. A great place to start is with what I call my number one rule, and that is never let anybody make you feel bad about yourself. When you make a commitment to cease letting people manipulate your emotions like this, then you can begin to not only analyze yourself, but analyze your opponent. Because we all have the same emotions. We can all understand each other. And when an argument is done right, no emotions are shown.